Let's start with a number that will shock you. Pew Research defines middle class as 67% to 200% of median household income. In 2026 dollars, that range is roughly $55,000 to $170,000 a year. ABC News, so a family earning $170,000 is still, technically, middle class. Not rich, not wealthy, middle class. What previous generations considered standard middle-class living now requires income levels that would have been considered wealthy just decades ago. CNBC, think about that for a moment. Your parents or grandparents raised families, owned homes, and retired comfortably on $40,000 or $50,000 a year. Today, that same lifestyle requires 3 or 4 times that amount. The American dream did not disappear. It just got 3 times more expensive. Now here is something that most financial news ignores, and it is critically important. In Arlington, Virginia, the upper threshold of middle-class income now exceeds $280,000, while in Detroit, it ranges from just $25,000 to $76,000. CNBC, the same person, the same salary, 2 completely different financial realities just based on their zip code. In Manhattan and San Francisco, $150,000 can feel middle class. In mid-sized cities like Charlotte, Austin, or Denver, $80,000 is solidly middle. In rural or lower-cost areas, $50,000 is middle class. ABC News, the American middle class is being priced out of the very cities where middle-class jobs exist. CNBC, if you want the good job, you have to live somewhere you can barely afford on that salary. It is a trap millions of Americans are caught in right now. Let's talk about real numbers, not statistics, not percentages. Real dollars out of your pocket every single month. A home buyer now needs to earn $121,400 annually just to afford a typical American home, while the average American earns approximately $84,000. CNBC, that gap, $37,000, is the difference between owning a home and renting forever. In 2026, 250 million Americans face health insurance premium increases far exceeding inflation, wage growth, and Social Security adjustments. Price hikes with few historical parallels. The motley fool and groceries. What cost $300 a month 5 years ago now costs $480 or more for the same items. Gas, utilities, car insurance. Everything went up and your paycheck did not keep up. That is not your fault. That is the system failing you. Now here is the number that kept me up at night when I first read it. 1/3 of the American middle class cannot afford necessities, and at least 20% of middle-class earners in every major metro area studied cannot afford to live in their own communities. CNBC, 1 in 3. People with decent jobs, decent salaries, cannot afford the basics. Nearly 3 in 10 Americans, 29%, report delaying or going without medical care in the past year because of finances. 1 in 4 people delayed or skipped buying doctor-prescribed medication due to cost. The motley fool, these are not poor people by traditional definition. These are working Americans, middle-class Americans. People who did everything right, went to school, got jobs, paid taxes, and still cannot afford to see a doctor. That is not the America any of us were promised. So how did we get here? How did the richest country in the history of the world end up with 1/3 of its middle class unable to pay their bills? Pew's data shows the share of U.S. adults in middle-income households declined from 61% in 1971 to roughly 50% by 2024, and that trend continues into 2026. ABC News, for 50 years, slowly, quietly, the middle class has been shrinking. Not because Americans got lazier, not because Americans got less smart, but because wages stagnated while costs exploded. This is not a temporary economic disruption. This is a fundamental restructuring of American economic life, the culmination of decades of policy choices that prioritized corporate profits over broad-based prosperity. CNBC, the American dream is not dead, but it has been moved to a neighborhood most Americans can no longer afford to live in. All right, let's end with something practical, because knowing the problem is only half the battle. Step 1, know your real number. Not what you earn, what you actually keep after housing, food, healthcare, and taxes. That number is your truth. Build your budget around it, not around what you wish it were. Step 2. If you are on a fixed income or retired, look into every benefit you may be missing. Many Americans over 65 leave thousands of dollars of government benefits unclaimed every year. SNAP, Medicare Savings Programs, Low-Income Home Energy Assistance. These exist for you, use them. Step 3, talk to your family. The financial stress that comes from feeling like you are failing when the whole system is failing is enormous. You are not alone. And you are not failing. What we are witnessing is not a personal failure. It is a fundamental restructuring of American economic life. CNBC, the system changed. Now you need to adapt and protect everything you have worked your entire life to build.